are. And
Mm-hmm.
and then that helps orient us on the land. And so this road that went in across the river from Nenana, it opened up land that more people have access to. But that's also us. We now have this road into the country where we can start looking at the resources, even beyond the 40 acres that you purchased. It's going to be wild lands for a long time.
Yeah, we have a trap line out there that's well maintained by my dad and some young men from our village. So we have like 4 really nice trapping cabins. And that's, when I advocated to the state of Alaska that you shouldn't be doing this project, and maybe that not so much as that you shouldn't be doing this project, but more of, I don't think you've taken the time to plan this project the best that it could be. And I definitely don't think, like, if you're thinking about how much you invest in something and what you're going to, see back from those investments, I don't think there's a lot of really strong planning being put into maybe making more road, and even to selling these acreages, these different land sales, 2,000 acres this year, 2,000 acres in 2024. Is it that what it's going to look like? Is like every couple of years we give a couple thousand acres up, and that's the issue right there. Is there's not a lot of planning going in, and it's really for the state of Alaska to come into Nenana and say this is food for food security, especially when Nenana has, not to toot my own horn, but I have been dedicating everything in the past 5 years to food sovereignty and security. So I'm like, I really understand this topic. And so you can't come into Nenana and say this is what it's for, because I can tell you, like, as an engineer, as somebody that's worked in agriculture, these are the, technical reasons. This is what's feasible. This is what's not feasible. This is your timeline, and so I'm starting to have those conversations. I do hope maybe the state changes its track and its path just a little. But I can also tell you from running that trap line and growing up on it with my dad, we made a living from the land. My family was one of the last families to not say abandon, but transition from a trap line and fish camp economy to more of construction. If you think about real estate and construction, it's such a colonial thing where you could actually make a living from the land, and now the only way you can do is because people are owning land and putting up structures. So my family, my dad had transitioned to that. I transitioned to being an engineer. It's kind of funny if you think about that, and now I'm like, no, that's structures and engineering and these projects that other people dream up and fund and finance. And I don't see I'm like, I can't work in that anymore. I need to go back to something that literally feeds the people, but brings us back to who we're meant to be. It's no coincidence that I'm working in this now. I really don't think there is. Like I said, I had a dream, and I'm reminded every day that there is a lot of power in that dream. And, even my dreams that I had after that dream about what I hope for and plan for, I see us constantly making progress and steps. And I feel like there's a lot of blessing, and that's like spiritual support keeping us going that we may not be able to touch, but I know it's there,
Reclaiming our traditional plant medicine knowledge, weaving in traditional agriculture from Europe, basically. And even Europeans had these traditional plants that they worked with, and they've forgotten some of their traditional plants. So this is a time of the great remembering, that we all, as human beings, have so much to learn and remember, to be resilient on the land.
Yeah, and that's what motivates me, is knowing how I grew up, and that people aren't really exposed to that lifestyle anymore. And realizing that knowledge holders and elders that can remember that and help us remember, because a lot of people in my generation, they haven't had that experience. And we're providing little bits of that, and it would be impossible to provide that experience without being guided by our elders and ancestors,
And we're elders in the making, young elders, and we'll be sharing that. As we learn, we are in service to helping others remember. Thank you so much for your work. Is there anything else that you would like to share before we close?
Just keep on the lookout. I think there's one thing I'm really glad about this interview, because a lot of sometimes I feel like when we're trying to reclaim stuff, we can't always go back to just the elders, but also some of these people, because we live in a different time, right? We have different challenges, but we also have different tools and technology. So we need to have all these generations working together to toe the line, because, when we think about how we adapt forward, it's not going to be all of the old, and I don't call it old, but we have to bring in some modern stuff to make it, realistic and feasible. And I think that's the beauty of having this multi-generational team, is just seeing all these heads, but all these people's brains and hearts, working together is like, this is what our vision is, and it's going to take each one of our generations to make it happen. Because what we're building is essentially going to be, the youth will have to take over. And so we're really trying to create lifelong, wellness warriors, really, where we're bringing people in their 20s and 30s, like, lifting them up. And even people, some of our best workers are 13. And so we're bringing up, all of these different people and creating a very strong and diverse team. And I think that is such a key part of adapting, is having a lot of diversity.
Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you. It's exciting.